In the history of football, there is perhaps no player more feared by quarterbacks than Lawrence Taylor. These words sum up the legacy of one of the greatest defensive players to ever step on a football field. Lawrence Taylor, or simply LT, was a force of nature, a player who could change the course of a game with one single play. His fierce intensity and physical dominance were unmatched, and no one could deny that LT played with a unique combination of power and speed that left both fans and opponents in awe. Taylor's impact wasn't just felt during his career. He changed the very way the linebacker position was played. He was a nightmare for offenses and a weapon every defense wanted on its side. Quarterbacks dreaded his presence, and for good reason. LT wasn't just good, he was revolutionary, winning NFL MVP, being selected to the Pro Bowl 10 times, and leading his team to 2 Super Bowl championships are only part of his story. Beyond the statistics and accolades, there's the tale of a man whose intensity on the field made him a living legend. This is the story of Lawrence Taylor, fearless, fierce, and legendary. Born in Williamsburg, Virginia in 1959, Lawrence Taylor's childhood was one of humble beginnings. He wasn't always destined for football greatness, and in fact, his first love was baseball. Growing up in a working-class family, Taylor had to carve his own path, and though he was always athletic, football wasn't a priority early on. In high school, he only started playing football during his junior year at Lafayette High School, yet it didn't take long for everyone to realize that he was different, a raw talent that couldn't be ignored. Despite his late start, he quickly became a standout on the field. His physicality, paired with an aggressive playing style, made him stand out, and by the time he was ready for college, Taylor had fully committed to football. He accepted an offer to play at the University of North Carolina, where he began his transformation from a gifted athlete to an unstoppable force. At UNC, Taylor was initially slotted as a middle linebacker, but the coaching staff saw something special in his ability to rush the passer. His quickness and strength were off the charts, so they moved him to outside linebacker, a decision that would change the trajectory of his career and arguably the NFL. At North Carolina, LT wreaked havoc on opposing offenses, becoming one of the most feared defenders in college football. In his senior year, Taylor recorded an impressive 16 sacks, earning him consensus All-American honors and solidifying his position as a top prospect in the upcoming NFL draft. His college career, although brief in comparison to others, was nothing short of spectacular. Taylor was not just a linebacker. He was a game changer, someone who could influence every play he was a part of. The way he attacked the quarterback, the way he intimidated offensive lines, it was clear that LT was going to make a big splash in the NFL. But no one knew just how big that splash would be. For Lawrence Taylor, the best was yet to come. In 1981, Lawrence Taylor entered the NFL draft as one of the most highly anticipated defensive prospects. The New York Giants, holding the second overall pick, knew they were getting a rare talent, and they wasted no time selecting him, even though defensive players typically weren't drafted that high. The expectations were enormous, and Taylor didn't just meet them, he shattered them. Right from his rookie year, LT showed the world that he was a different breed of player. In a league dominated by offenses, Taylor came in and flipped the script, turning defense into a weapon. Most rookies take time to adjust to the speed and intensity of the NFL, not Taylor. From day one, he dominated, making it clear that he wasn't just another talented player, he was a phenomenon. His impact was so immediate that he was named the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year in 1981, an award he won with ease as he terrorized offenses across the league. But his accomplishments didn't stop there. In that same rookie season, Taylor also won the NFL Defensive Player of the Year award, an achievement that had never been done before by a rookie. His ability to disrupt opposing offenses was unparalleled. He wasn't just sacking quarterbacks, he was creating chaos on every play, whether it was forcing fumbles, making tackles behind the line of scrimmage, or pressuring the quarterback into bad decisions. Taylor's presence on the field was game-changing. As his career progressed, Taylor redefined what it meant to play outside linebacker. Before LT, linebackers were mostly seen as support players in the defensive scheme, tasked with covering running backs or providing help in pass coverage. But Taylor turned the position into a weapon. He was relentless in his pursuit of the quarterback, constantly blitzing, forcing offensive lines to adjust their schemes entirely around him. His combination of speed, strength, and football IQ allowed him to anticipate plays before they happened, making him nearly impossible to block. One of the most terrifying aspects of LT's game was how unpredictable he was. Offenses simply couldn't account for him. He would line up on the edge, explode off the snap, and by the time the quarterback realized what was happening, it was too late. Taylor's signature move was a speed rush where he would beat offensive tackles off the edge with his sheer quickness, but he also had a devastating power move that could bull rush even the largest linemen. His physical gifts were complemented by an aggressive, almost violent playing style that left opponents dreading every snap. As Taylor's reputation grew, so did his list of accolades. He was named to the Pro Bowl in each of his first 10 seasons and was selected as a first-team All-Pro 8 times. It wasn't just the stats that made Taylor great, though. It was the fear he instilled in opposing players. Quarterbacks would change plays at the line of scrimmage just to avoid him, and coaches built entire game plans around neutralizing him, often to no avail. There was simply no stopping Lawrence Taylor when he was on his game. By the time his early years in the NFL were behind him, LT had already solidified himself as the most feared defensive player in the league. He had changed the way the game was played, forcing offenses to adapt to his aggressive, unpredictable style. He wasn't just setting records, he was changing the very nature of football itself. Lawrence Taylor wasn't just an elite player, he was a game changer. What separated Taylor from his peers wasn't just his physicality, but his ability to influence an entire game single-handedly. In the 1980s, offenses were becoming more pass-heavy, but Taylor's presence on the field forced quarterbacks and offensive coordinators to rethink their strategies. He revolutionized the way the linebacker position was played, shifting it from a primarily defensive role to an aggressive attacking force that could disrupt an offense from any angle. One of the most remarkable aspects of Taylor's career was how he revolutionized the outside linebacker position. Before LT, linebackers were typically responsible for covering running backs and tight ends or supporting the run defense. But Taylor's speed and strength made him an unstoppable pass rusher. His ability to rush the passer from the outside put pressure on quarterbacks like never before, forcing offensive lines to double-team him and often leaving other defenders unblocked. His presence alone could change the dynamic of an entire game, and that kind of impact was unprecedented for a linebacker. Taylor's style of play was relentless. His speed off the edge made him nearly impossible to block one-on-one, and his ability to close in on quarterbacks in seconds made him a nightmare for any offense. His signature move was his speed rush, where he would explode off the line, beating offensive tackles to the outside and closing in on the quarterback with terrifying quickness. But it wasn't just his speed that made him dangerous. Taylor also had incredible strength, allowing him to bull rush linemen or take on double teams and still get to the quarterback. One of the most infamous moments in NFL history came in 1985 during a Monday Night Football game between the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins. In that game, Taylor delivered a hit on Redskins quarterback Joe Theismann that not only ended Theismann's career, but also became one of the most iconic and brutal plays in NFL history. The play was a devastating reminder of Taylor's physical dominance and the fear he struck into opponents. It was a clean hit, but the sheer force with which Taylor brought down Theismann became a defining moment in both of their careers. Despite the brutality of that play, Taylor was far more than just a hard-hitting linebacker. He had an incredible football IQ, which allowed him to read plays and anticipate what offenses were doing before they even happened, whether it was sniffing out a run or knowing exactly when to time his rush on a blitz. LT always seemed to be one step ahead. His instincts, combined with his physical gifts, made him the most dangerous defensive player of his era. Taylor's ability to get to the quarterback was unmatched, but what really made him legendary was his consistency. Year after year, game after game, Taylor brought the same level of intensity and production. He recorded double-digit sacks in 7 out of his first 10 seasons, finishing his career with 132.5 sacks. But even that number doesn't fully capture his impact. He wasn't just about stats, he was about disruption. He could single-handedly blow up a play, forcing fumbles, pressuring quarterbacks into bad throws, or simply creating chaos that allowed his teammates to thrive. Lawrence Taylor's influence extended far beyond his individual performance. His style of play changed the way NFL defenses operated. Before LT, linebackers were more conservative, playing back and reacting to the offense. But Taylor's aggressive attacking style forced teams to adopt more blitz-heavy schemes and prioritize pass rushers in the draft. He paved the way for future generations of linebackers and pass rushers, from Derek Thomas to Von Miller, all of whom have emulated his ferocity and relentless pursuit of the quarterback. Throughout his career, Taylor earned nearly every accolade a player could hope for: 10 Pro Bowl selections, 8 first-team All-Pro honors, 2 Super Bowl championships, and 3 NFL Defensive Player of the Year awards. In 1986, he achieved something no defensive player had done since 1971. He was named the NFL's Most Valuable Player, an award typically reserved for quarterbacks and offensive stars. It was a testament to just how much of an impact Taylor had on the game. By the time Taylor retired, he had not only redefined his position, but also left a legacy that would influence the NFL for decades. His fearlessness, intensity, and raw talent made him one of the most feared and respected players to ever play the game. His career highlights aren't just moments of individual greatness. They're moments that reshaped the very fabric of football. While Lawrence Taylor's dominance on the field was unquestionable, his life off the field was far more complicated. Throughout his career, Taylor battled with personal demons that threatened to overshadow his accomplishments. His struggles with substance abuse, particularly cocaine, became a significant part of his story and often made headlines. For much of his career, Taylor's off-the-field issues ran parallel to his on-the-field greatness, and managing the two was a constant challenge. Taylor has been open about his drug use, admitting that he started experimenting with drugs early in his NFL career. The fast lifestyle that came with being a superstar in the NFL led him down a destructive path. Despite multiple warnings from the league and the Giants organization, Taylor continued to struggle with addiction throughout the 1980s. His drug use wasn't a well-kept secret either. During his playing days, rumors swirled about his off-field behavior, and by the mid-1980s, Taylor had already failed multiple drug tests. However, at that time, the NFL's drug policies were more lenient than they are today, and Taylor was often able to avoid severe punishment. Despite these issues, Taylor's performance on the field rarely faltered. Remarkably, he continued to play at an elite level, even as his personal life spiraled out of control. This led many to see him as almost superhuman, someone who could party all night and still dominate on the football field the next day. His teammates, coaches, and opponents marveled at his ability to compartmentalize his off-field troubles and still play with the same intensity and aggression. But as his career progressed, the strain of balancing his addiction with his responsibilities as an NFL player became more apparent. The turning point came in 1988 when Taylor was suspended for 30 days after failing a drug test. It was a public and humiliating fall from grace, as one of the league's biggest stars had to face the reality of his addiction. The suspension served as a wake-up call, and Taylor entered a rehabilitation program. For a while, it seemed like he had gotten his life back on track. He returned to the Giants with renewed focus and continued to perform at a high level, but the specter of addiction never fully left him. Even after retiring from football in 1993, Taylor's struggles with substance abuse persisted. His post-NFL life was marked by multiple legal issues, including arrests related to drugs and other incidents. It became clear that Taylor's battle with addiction was far from over, and he faced significant challenges in adjusting to life without football. The adrenaline and structure of the NFL had kept him grounded in some ways, but once that was gone, Taylor found himself struggling to find a new sense of purpose. Taylor's story is one of both triumph and tragedy. While his on-field exploits are legendary, his personal life serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of fame, fortune, and addiction. He has spoken candidly about his regrets, particularly the way his addiction affected his relationships with his family and teammates. In interviews, Taylor has admitted that he often felt invincible during his playing days. But in hindsight, he recognizes the toll that his lifestyle took on his health and well-being. In the years since his retirement, Taylor has worked to rebuild his life. He's become an advocate for sobriety and has spoken about the importance of getting help for addiction. His journey is far from perfect, but it's a testament to the resilience of a man who, despite his flaws, remains one of the most iconic figures in NFL history. Taylor's ability to face his demons head-on and continue to grow as a person is a reflection of the same fearlessness that made him a dominant force on the field. Ultimately, Lawrence Taylor's personal struggles don't define him, but they are a crucial part of his legacy. His ability to overcome adversity both on and off the field is a testament to his strength and determination. While his battles with addiction were a dark chapter in his life, they also highlight the human side of a player often seen as larger than life. Taylor's story is a reminder that even the greatest athletes are not immune to the challenges of life, and his efforts to rebuild and redeem himself only add another layer to his incredible legacy. Lawrence Taylor's legacy in the NFL transcends statistics, awards, and even his individual impact on the field. His influence changed not only the way the game is played, but also the way future players and coaches approached football. Taylor didn't just play linebacker, he redefined the position. His aggressive, game-wrecking style ushered in a new era of defensive dominance, making him one of the most influential figures in the history of the sport. Before Taylor's arrival in the NFL, linebackers were mostly viewed as supportive defensive players. Their primary role was to stop the run, drop back into coverage, and react to offensive plays. But Taylor's unique combination of speed, strength, and football intelligence turned him into a nightmare for offenses. He wasn't just a linebacker. He was a pass rusher, a playmaker, and a game changer all in one. His ability to rush the quarterback from the outside, often requiring double or even triple teams, made him a defensive weapon like the NFL had never seen. One of the most significant impacts Taylor had was forcing offensive coordinators to rethink their entire game plans. Teams had to design specific schemes just to account for Taylor's presence on the field. Offensive lines were forced to shift their blocking assignments, running backs had to stay back in pass protection, and quarterbacks had to adjust their timing to get rid of the ball faster, all because of one player. Taylor's mere presence disrupted entire offenses, and few defenders in NFL history have had that kind of effect. Taylor's influence extended beyond his position. His success as a pass-rushing linebacker changed how teams valued players who could disrupt the quarterback. The demand for elite pass rushers skyrocketed, and the NFL began prioritizing players who could generate pressure off the edge. This led to a shift in how defenses were constructed, with a greater emphasis on athletic, versatile linebackers and defensive ends who could attack the quarterback in the same vein as LT. Players like Derek Thomas, Von Miller, and Khalil Mack are all part of the lineage that began with Taylor's dominance in the 1980s and early 1990s. Another part of Taylor's legacy is how he helped usher in the era of the 3-4 defensive scheme. The 3-4 defense, which features 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers, became more popular in part because of Taylor's success in that system. His role as an outside linebacker in the Giants' 3-4 defense allowed him to rush the passer, drop into coverage, or stop the run, all with equal effectiveness. As more teams adopted the 3-4 scheme to capitalize on versatile linebackers like Taylor, it became a staple of NFL defenses and remains so to this day. Off the field, Taylor's influence on the game has been just as significant. Despite his personal struggles, LT remains one of the most respected figures in NFL history. He's a Hall of Famer inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1999 and is consistently ranked among the greatest players of all time. His number 56 jersey has become iconic, a symbol of dominance, fearlessness, and revolution in the sport. Taylor is often the gold standard against which all pass rushers are measured, and his name continues to inspire future generations of defenders. Beyond his direct influence on the game, Taylor's impact on the culture of football is equally profound. He played with a reckless abandon and a fiery passion that became the hallmark of great defensive players. He didn't just play the game, he attacked it, embodying the toughness, grit, and fearlessness that define football at its core. LT's playing style made him larger than life, and even today, decades after his retirement, his name is synonymous with defensive excellence. Taylor's legacy is also one of resilience. Despite his well-documented off-field struggles, he has managed to remain a beloved figure in the football world. His honesty about his personal challenges, combined with his efforts to overcome them, has made him a symbol of perseverance. LT is remembered not just for his dominance on the field, but for his ability to rise above adversity off it. His journey from NFL superstar to Hall of Famer, and eventually to someone who could reflect on both his successes and mistakes, has earned him widespread admiration. In the end, Lawrence Taylor's legacy is defined by his revolutionary impact on the game of football. He wasn't just a player who accumulated sacks and forced fumbles. He was a player who changed how football was played, coached, and understood. His influence can be seen in every elite pass rusher who followed in his footsteps, and in every defense that prioritizes getting to the quarterback. LT will forever be remembered as one of the greatest to ever play the game, a player whose fierce, fearless approach to football made him not just legendary, but timeless. Lawrence Taylor's career is a testament to both the heights of athletic greatness and the complexities of human nature. On the field, he was a force of nature, an unstoppable juggernaut who redefined what it meant to be a linebacker. His ability to disrupt offenses, dominate opposing players, and instill fear in quarterbacks earned him a place among the all-time greats of the NFL. Few players have ever had the kind of transformative impact that Taylor did. He not only changed how the linebacker position was played, but also how the entire defensive side of the ball was approached. His fearless attitude and relentless pursuit of the quarterback made him an icon. But his story doesn't end with football accolades. Lawrence Taylor's journey is also one of redemption and growth, one that goes beyond the football field. His battles with addiction and personal struggles serve as a reminder that even legends are not immune to life's challenges. But Taylor's resilience in the face of adversity, both during and after his career, adds another layer to his legacy. He's not just remembered for his gridiron dominance, but also for his candidness about his personal battles and his efforts to rebuild his life. Taylor's impact on the NFL remains evident in today's game. His influence can be seen in the pass rushers who terrorize quarterbacks every Sunday and in the defensive schemes that continue to prioritize versatility, aggression, and speed. Future generations of linebackers and defensive players will continue to measure themselves against the standard that Taylor set, a standard of excellence, fearlessness, and relentless pursuit of greatness. His induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, his countless accolades, and his 2 Super Bowl victories cement his place in history. But beyond the trophies and records, Taylor's enduring legacy is one of revolutionizing the sport. He proved that one player, through sheer will and determination, can fundamentally change the game of football. He was fearless, fierce, and legendary, and his story, filled with both triumph and struggle, continues to inspire. In the end, Lawrence Taylor's legacy is more than just his stats or his highlights. It's the story of a man who overcame personal demons to reach the pinnacle of his profession. A man who, despite his flaws, left an indelible mark on the NFL and the world of sports. His name will forever be synonymous with greatness, and his impact on the game will be felt for generations to come. Lawrence Taylor is, without question, one of the greatest football players of all time, and his legend will continue to grow as new fans and players alike learn about the fearless, fierce, and legendary linebacker known as LT.